Alright, so before the video starts, I just want to warn you guys, the title in this video is strictly for the memes. It's for the memes, alright? So before anyone comes up to me and says, "You think you're a fucking god? You suck!" I just want to make sure you guys know I do not think I'm a god in any way. It's just for the meme. Alright, so fellas, in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to mix and master your beats like a pretty average person. Just kidding, baby, like a fucking god! Alright, so before we get into this, I just want to give you guys some heads up. I know the people who watch my videos range from all different types of like skills, like people who just started making beats, people who've been making beats for a while. So I'm not going to be too advanced, and yeah, I'm not going to keep it too simple, so hopefully everyone can keep up with me. So if you're an experienced producer and you're looking at me like, what is this kid doing? Like, this is super obvious and simple. I just want you to be aware that there are a lot of producers that actually don't know this info, and it would greatly help them. So I actually just dropped a mastering kit, which includes a few mixing presets. Basically includes all my master chains. So if you want any of the presets using this, plus like 16 other more, go ahead and check that in the description. And I'm gonna warn you guys, it only works with FL Studio users, so Logic, Ableton, people like that, I'm sorry. But I would highly recommend this if you don't know where to start and you're looking for new plugins to use for mixing and mastering. So I basically took all the master chains I've ever done that I liked and I put them in there. Also comes with a document of my process when it comes to mastering a beat. So yeah, I would highly recommend go and get that. Alright, so I already have a track kind of finished here. I'm just gonna go ahead and play it real quick so you guys could listen. I think you guys get an idea of the beat. So as you can see, it sounds clean, it's punching hard, the kick is punching, 808 is mixed well, melodies are in their space. Now my philosophy to getting a good sounding beat is you need good drum sounds from the start, so you don't have to mess with things individually. And the priority that you guys should always be focusing on is your master chain, because that's going to dictate how everything sounds. So we're going to go ahead and start with the drums in this one. So for anyone who's curious, if you guys want any of the drum sounds used in this video, everything can be found in my kits, which are in the description. Okay, so here are the drums in the track. So first tip I can give to you is start with good drum samples. That'll make the job so much easier. Rather than trying to make the drums you have sound good, you can make the good samples sound amazing. As I said before, drums I don't really add a lot to on. My kick, just plain, I just turned it up a bit. And my 808, I added a bit of distortion and EQ, just boosted up the low and the mid frequencies to give it more of a punch. So for my hats, just a little simple EQ. And for the clap in this, I also EQ'd a bit, and I added a bit of distortion just to give it some crunch. And then just a layered snare, which I didn't even do anything to. So obviously, as you can see, no compression was used because I really don't like to compress my drums. I think it takes away from the transients and messes up the dynamics of it. So I would stay away from that if you do not know how to use it. And that is literally everything for the drums in this track. So biggest tip I can give you guys for your melodies is to EQ out the low end so you can leave room for your 808, and that will take your mix from a 5 to an 8 because it just makes your drums punch a lot harder and it's not all muddy and nasty in the low end. So I literally just put that and then a little bit of reverb. Now we're gonna get to the important part, the master chain, and this is really where you're gonna take your beat to that next level. So for my master chain, all I have is a limiter, an EQ, and a clipper. Now the way your chain is set up is really important. So I always make sure that my clipper is on the bottom of my chain because I don't want it to be on top of like the limiter because then it'll mess it up. So make sure if you use a clipper, it's on the bottom. So I applied this limiter onto it, and it basically, I just put on this clipping preset and I turned it up. This is just going to make your beat a little bit louder. And then I added an EQ. So this is how you get your hi-hats and your claps to be very crispy and sound great in your mix. So I just boosted up the highs and the mids a little bit. And I want to show you guys what it sounds like with and without it on. So this is with. Alright, now let's turn it off. And this is without. And the kick sounds a bit like compressed, and that's because I'm using the stock FL Studio drivers. And what FL does, which is kind of shady, is if it's going past 0, they'll like limit it down, even if you have free limiter off your master. So what I would recommend to everyone who isn't working with like an interface to put a clipper on, because then it gives you a true sound to what you have. So anyways, that's how it sounds with it off, and I'm just gonna go ahead and show you what everything does. So we can start with the clipper. So basically what the clipper is doing, it's on the master, it's not allowing it to pass 0 dB. But in the individual chains, like my kick is clipping, but not in the master. And in that process, I don't know what happens, but it just makes your kick smack 10 times harder. So as you can see, it's hitting that orange, which means it's above 0 dB, which means it's clipping. But in the master, it's not, so it's cleaned up. Next, we have this EQ. So if you listen to the hi-hats and the clap and basically like all the high end in the track, you're basically just EQing all the high end so the hi-hats can be very crispy. And another thing with making your drum smack, you need to have a very good kick and hi-hat relationship, because if you have a good hi-hat, it makes your kick sound a lot better. And last but not least, we have a limiter. I always like to keep the limiter on top of my chain. So all I did was grab the preset and just turned it up 2.6 dB to just get some overall volume. So with it off and on, it sounds like this. Alright, now for for people who are saying, but I don't have all these fancy little third-party plugins, I'm going to show you guys how to do this with default FL plugin. So we're gonna go ahead and do this real quick. Let's replace this for Fruity Limiter. Now I know I've always preached Fruity Limiter is the devil, keep it off your master, it's gonna ruin your mix, but if you know how to use it right, it can actually be beneficial. So first thing you wanna do is turn all this off. And now here's the biggest reason to why this always squashes your mix. It's because the ceiling is too low. And in that process, things get compressed and start sounding disgusting. So you gotta turn it up, increase the ceiling, and then we could... I honestly think the limiter sounds better. So I haven't increased the volume yet, I've just increased the ceiling, which is basically how loud it can get. So let's just leave it right there. And now we can adjust the gain while we listen to it. Now you have to be careful when you use Fruity Limiter, because if you turn it up too loud, you can get this like distorted sound, so you have to be careful not to turn it up too loud. And next you can go ahead and play with the saturation. I'm not really too sure what it does, it's like a threshold, but I just like to play with it till I get it to sound good. So right there sounds fine. Now let's go ahead and replace this for a basic parametric EQ, boost the mids, increase the highs, a little bit of that too. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little tutorial. Haven't done one of these in a while. Hope you guys learned something. Anyways, gentlemen, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully your mixes have improved after seeing this. Make sure to get that mastering kit. And once again, if you guys want any of the drum sounds, everything can be found in the description. That's all from me. Peace!